Anyways, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Second episode of Coffee. No, not Coffee. I'm sorry. Whiskey and RPGs. Again, I wasn't planning on streaming today, but we got some awesome news that I wanted to cover, get out of the way. I didn't want to wait any longer, or else there would just be too much stuff to cover, and a lot of good stuff. So I just did a recording of Skull and Bones, or at least the rumors that were substantiated, and I'll have that out on Coffee and RPGs if you want to go ahead and check that out, excuse me. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with some of the things that I found really interesting. First of all, not necessarily RPG news, but the headline on this was just so funny. The fifth Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, is called Modern Warfare 2, not to be confused with Modern Warfare 2. I love it. Morgan Park is the author of this article. Why do you do this, Activision? But yeah, that's all I really wanted to cover. Not surprising, yes, we got another Call of Duty game coming out this year. Although the last Modern Warfare game was pretty fun from what I've heard. It does look fun. I've never played it. But if it's any indication, the second one should be pretty good too. But I just really wish they stopped with the whole confusing name. Because it's not, I mean, I'd understand if it was a remake, but it's not really a remake. I mean, it is, but it really isn't. But anyways, just wanted to bring that to your attention here really quick. Oh yeah, moving on really quick. There's a Mountain Dew flavor. A Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew. Like I've actually had spicy beverages before. It was like some sort of like ginseng tea at a farmer's market. I can't remember like the entirety of the contents, and it was interesting to say the least. It was tasty, but not something I would necessarily consume on a daily basis. Anyways, I wanted to bring this up. This has 73 grams of sugar. Like that is an incredible amount of sugar. But anyways, there you have it. Like I'm getting old. Like I wouldn't be able to handle that. So anyways, moving on. But this is really interesting. Again, save it on your calendar, June 12th. I'm hoping, obviously, I already know what you're thinking. I hope we get a lot more information with regards to Starfield. I'm also hoping maybe they'll do like a surprise announcement of the next Fallout game. It's been a while now. I know they're still constantly working with Fallout 76, and admittedly, I haven't really played that game either, but it just doesn't feel right, you know? I just want another Fallout game, Fallout 5. But then again, we might also get more information regarding the next Elder Scrolls games as well. As it goes on to say that there may not be no E3 this year, but let's be honest here, there's still pretty much E3 this year. Microsoft announced today that Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase will stream on Sunday, June 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars. Those of you who still use calendars. Okay, I'll give them that. That was pretty funny. What will Microsoft and Bethesda have to show off? According to them, some amazing titles coming to the Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, and our partners around the world. Though that's a little vague for my taste, it's definitely a given that we'll finally get a real look at gameplay from Starfield, because it's due to launch in November of this year, and we've only seen a tiny bit here, or a tiny bit of it so far, and that's true. Bring on Skyrim in peace, bring Skyrim in space already. That's pretty much the best way I could describe, or we could describe this game so far, Skyrim in space. And that little phrase of in itself is a pretty big deal, because we all know that Skyrim is a pretty big deal in the first place. We'll probably also get another look at Redfall, Arcane's co-op vampire shooter, which is set to launch this summer, and hopefully we'll get a sort of peek at an Indiana Jones game Bethesda teased back in 2021. That I didn't know. I actually didn't know they were making an Indiana Jones game. So, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I came across this article then. Goes on to say, and is it too much hope for an Elder Scrolls 6 trailer? Yes, we'll probably have to wait until not E3 2023 or 2024 for that. So remember, not E3 for that. Anyways, that's just really what I really wanted to cover. Oh, and if you're curious, the showcase will be streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter even. That's kind of surprising. Facebook and TikTok. Wow, even TikTok. Okay. So you should have no trouble putting it on one of your mini screens and devices on June 12th. So, all right, next article here. So we're going to move on to MMOculture.com. And it says here that I don't even know how to pronounce that. Mir M? Vanguard and Vagabond. Wemade begins pre-registration for remake of classic MMORPG. And when they say classic, I'm assuming that this is an MMORPG that was released maybe only in Korea, because I've never heard of this before. But it is an MMORPG, so that's why I had to cover it. It is isometric too. I'll kind of play it here with the sound off. But yeah, it has an isometric look and feel very similar to the Lost Ark. It looks beautiful, by the way, too. I mean, this is a remake after all. But it does go on to say that last week, Korean developer first announced a new... Oh, man, this is a mobile MMORPG? I don't want to cover this anymore. I mean, is it really an MMO, though? It's not like an MMO on the mobile platform as it is like Black Desert Mobile or V4. Like, those you could call a full-fledged MMO on the mobile platform. But a lot of these RPGs for the mobile platform aren't MMOs. They're like, they play very similar to like Genshin Impact, more or less, with gacha mechanics, and they call themselves an MMO when they're really not. Anyways, we're here. We'll cover it. Anyways, Vanguard and Vagabond, which is a modernized remake of the classic Mir PC MMORPG. This is different from Mir 4, as no blockchain or cryptocurrency features were announced. Players can expect new features in Mir M, such as choosing the path of a combat hero or the path of a craftsman, specializing in crafting and strengthening items. These two paths are on top of the 3 basic classes available. 3 playable classes include Warrior, Taoist, and Sorcerer, all classic characters from the Mir game. But yeah, that's it. I legitimately thought this was going to be a PC MMORPG, but it's a mobile platform game, so enough about that. But anyways, I covered it. Or for those of you who at least do enjoy mobile games, at least. Look, I'm not entirely against mobile games. I just don't like it when they use like really shady monetization and call themselves an MMO when they're not. That's all I'm saying. But I do enjoy playing games such as Epic 7. I haven't played it in a while, but that was a really fun RPG. More forgiving gacha mechanic, admittedly, compared to some of the other games out there like Genshin Impact, but still gacha nonetheless. And not necessarily an RPG, but I thought it'd be worth covering anyways, because there does seem to be some hype around this particular game. And it says that Bloodhunt Battle Royale set in Vampire the Masquerade universe launches free on Steam. Developer Shark Mob today announced the official launch of its free-to-play Battle Royale title Bloodhunt on the PlayStation 5 and Windows PC via Steam. After a successful early access period in 2021, the bloodthirsty third-person action shooter set in the Vampire the Masquerade universe launches into the first season today. In Bloodhunt, players take to the streets of Prague's Old Town for epic battles between ruthless vampires fighting to dominate the night, armed with supernatural powers, weapons, and their own cunning. Wow, I sometimes don't know how to English. So there's that. If you're into vampires and if you're into battle royale games, you got one coming towards your way now. Again, I don't know too many people who played this game. It did seem to garner a lot of hype on Twitch. I'm not exactly sure how much. Actually, we could probably check the charts right now, right? Let's go ahead and do that. Bloodhunt, Steam TP. Okay, so I know it's cut off on the right there, but it's more or less the same. It peaks at just under 20,000 on April 29th. UTC Friday. That's today, ain't it? Oh yeah, that's today. Nice. So yeah. And in terms of Twitch viewers, that actually peaked at just over 55,000 viewers. Just to kind of give you an idea. And again, these numbers are still too early to say if it's going to be really popular or not. But so far, it's looking good. It's looking good. All right, so I got a bunch of articles from massivelyop.com here, and the first one here says Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis shows off the frosty region of its June update and its May. See, I don't know how to English. Let me do that again. I'm sorry. Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis shows off the frosty region of its June update and its May 1-year anniversary. Oh, May 1. Okay. Sorry, just bear with me. Yesterday saw Phantasy Star Online 2's Phantasy Star Online 2, excuse me, New Genesis offer up another NGS headline video, which showcased the next major updates arriving in the next couple of months, including the game's first anniversary event and its large-scale June content update. I feel like this game just came out. I can't believe it's already been a year and I still haven't played it. As you guys already know, I always complain that there just aren't enough hours in a day. And it's like, I've always been meaning to... Anyways, it goes on to say that starting on Wednesday, May 11th, and so mark those calendars, especially to those of you who still play this game. Or actually, if you just even play Phantasy Star Online 2. The non-New Genesis, right? Because they kind of go together. May 11th, the game will mark its 1-year anniversary with special quests, the opportunity to harvest... what? An anniversary artichoke? I don't know how to say that. It's the word artichoke and anniversary put together. And randomite and a limited time suppression op that can be taken up as many times as players want. After that, on Wednesday, May 25th, the second half of the event begins with more tasks along with the urgent quest to protect a mining rig in Retem. Sorry, one quick. I gotta wipe my eyes. My eyes are drying up. So yeah, I think still this game is worth playing, even though, in my opinion, New Genesis isn't a full-fledged MMO, unlike the first one. I think the first one is. I still think it's a remarkable looking game. I just never got around to it. Probably do like a video on Phantasy Star Online, Online 2 New Genesis playing for the first time after a year or something like that. I think people will click on that. I think that'd be worth watching, assuming I can make it entertaining, of course. That's kind of debatable. But yeah, first anniversary, New Genesis. All right, moving on to their next article. Sticking with massivelyop.com, Star Citizen shows off filthy armor in Highlands. Oh boy, I really can't English today. Let me start that over again. Star Citizen shows off its filthy armor and highlights new AI behaviors in latest video. I assume they're saying that armor could be degrading and have dirt and all that other stuff to kind of make it more realistic, I'd assume. But anyways, reading on. If you're going to get into the snow, rain, dust, or mud of a planet in Star Citizen, you'd expect your character's armor to pick up some of that schmutz. I believe that's how you say it. But right now, in the texture for dirty armor is pretty one note. That brings us to the returning episode of Inside Star Citizen, which talks up a new trick that's being worked on in order to improve immersion for filthy player characters. That's actually really awesome in my opinion. It's those little things that really make the game, for again lack of a better term, immersive. I know there's a degrading feature in Black Desert Online, for example, where if your armor becomes too low in durability, it actually starts to show holes in your armor or the skin that you're wearing, and it'll start to tear and look like it's falling apart, which I think is really cool. But it's super rudimentary, I guess you could say. It's the same throughout, when to expect it. And I don't know if Star Citizen is going to be just as rudimentary. Maybe it'll be more dynamic, where the patches of rain and mud is different for every character. Maybe I think that would be really cool though. But anyways, moving on. The upcoming update will use the game's Substance Designer tool to create procedural biome accumulation CGI's big juicy term for surface filth, which will eliminate the workload for the game's art team so that it won't have to create individual visuals. It's answering my question. So it won't have to create individual visuals for every possible form of crud players can be coated with. Dirtier Dirt is expected sometime later this year. So again, I spoke too soon. That's really cool. That's really cool. That so whatever patch of dirt that you have on your armor will be pretty much unique to you, and it definitely just gives the game more immersion, more real life feelness to the game, which I really do enjoy about the game, despite its criticisms too. Don't get me wrong. I know I feel like when I cover Star Citizen, I'm being political. Oh man, just because it's one of those games where you just either love or you just really love to hate. Second half of the video brings a sprint report all about AI behaviors with previews of better low altitude flight pathing, enemy reactions to seeing a dead body, and NPCs getting themselves a tasty soda. Hey, like I said, the little things, right? There's also in development look at derelict outposts and a fly-through of an upcoming space-based point of interest. In this case, a defunct space station. Also of note is the video's opening, which remarks members of the dev team, including creative content lead Jared Huckabee, are moving to the UK as CGI's new Manchester office gets built. Oh, they're still developing their headquarters over there, aren't they? Anyways, we do have the video. Whoop, sorry, that was a little loud. We do have the video down here. Again, I'll mute it for the sake of this video, but this article is just covering basically what you see in the video. And again, I'll have a link to all these down in the pinned comment section below with timestamps if you want to go ahead and take a closer look yourself. But I'm really excited. If you guys already know or don't know, I am a backer of this game. And I'm looking forward to it. And again, I'm not one of those super fans where it's like, oh, CGI Roberts, he can't do no wrong. Everything he does is good. Like, the criticisms are valid, but despite all that, I'm still looking forward to, oh, this is the soda they're talking about. NPCs reacting of not getting soda or trying to steal soda, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like the NPC is trying to steal soda. But like again, it's those little things that really make the game immersive, in my opinion, which I really do enjoy. All right, we're moving on to another article of MassivelyOP.com. World of Warcraft confirms that all races will be able to be mages, priests, and rogues starting in Dragonflight, and this is going to be their next expansion. I believe that will be released next year. But anyways, it does go on to say that developers want to work towards a place where, with World of Warcraft, where in race is not limited. Sorry, let me start that over again. The developers want to work towards a place with World of Warcraft wherein race is not a limiting factor in the class you choose to play. That's a form of a new interview, or that's from a new interview. Wow, I can't talk today. That's from a new interview from Mr. GM with lead combat designer Brian Holinka. I do apologize, I'm butchering these names. Who states that this is a long-term goal but is going to take some time. On the bright side, all races will be able to be mages, priests, and rogues with the Dragonflight expansion. Everyone could already be warriors, with paladins and warlocks specifically noted as something that will take more time. Though given that Night Elf paladins were established as a big deal back in Legion, perhaps that particular race/class trigger will get pulled sooner rather than later. Interesting. I've only played World of Warcraft for 3 to 4 years, which is to say that not a whole lot, considering that this game has been out for 15 to 20 years. Oh, what's up, Guffuzz? Welcome to the channel, my friend. But I definitely would like to cover this game just because of the fact that it would tremendously be one of those things where it would help out the channel. World of Warcraft is still a really big game that people are interested in. Matter of fact, Asmongold actually started playing World of Warcraft again. I thought, you'll see those clickbait titles on YouTube. Oh, Asmongold, completely done with World of Warcraft now. Completely over it. But yet he still, like I said, those are clickbait titles. Hey, Godfuss, I appreciate the lurk, my friend. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, I mean, regardless of what you think of Blizzard right now, and again, the criticisms for Blizzard and World of Warcraft, all valid. I get that, but it's still a game that many people are interested in, has a lot of nostalgic factors for a lot of us, and something that a lot of people are still going to cover and want to know about regardless, right? So anyways, a little bit of that. Lastly, it just says here, on a related but separate note, if you're curious about the upcoming World of Warcraft mobile game, a forum post by Bloomberg's Jason Schreier alleges that there are at least 2 such games in development, one of them clearly inspired by Clash of Clans, the other by Pokemon Go. So there's that. I won't go into that in today's episode, maybe in a future episode, but as of right now, I just wanted to cover the fact that they're trying to make it so that race isn't an issue with regards to what class you want to play. And plus, they're mobile games. Who wants to talk about mobile games? Moving on. Final Fantasy IV. Okay, so this is really cool, but kind of... well, anyways, we'll read on. Next from MassivelyOP.com. Final Fantasy XIV's collaboration event with Final Fantasy XI is live today. I love collaborations. I really like it. And again, this is coming from somebody who hasn't played the new version of Final Fantasy XIV Reborn. I really like it when companies do crossover collaborations. Final Fantasy does it with Nier Automata for obvious reasons, more or less, and I think that's pretty cool. I know Black Desert Online did one, or a few actually, but the most memorable one was with the anime and manga Berserk, which I thought was really cool. Let's see. Yeah, just like crossover events are just really interesting to me for whatever reason. I mean, Fortnite does it all the time. So with even with real people too. I think Snoop Dogg was the latest skin for that game, I think. Oh no, that was Call of Duty. But yeah, it's those little things that really make the games interesting. Anyways, goes on to say, at this point, Final Fantasy XIV has crossed over with most of the games in the franchise. Speaking with Square Enix, you might be wondering, where are the crossovers with Final Fantasy III, Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VIII, and Final Fantasy IX? But you missed them because they were called the Crystal Tower series, the Omega Raid series, Stormblood, and Gunbreakers. See, I wouldn't have known that. Oh, and also Endwalker, respectively. But Final Fantasy XI gets its own special event crossover restarting today, featuring Irona from the older games Rhapsodies of Valanadel storyline. Again, one of those games that I really wish I played, but more so because of FOMO, fear of missing out, than anything else. But I'll get around to it. I have to. As somebody who likes to talk about RPGs and MMOs, this is a must. But again, I'm playing Lost Ark and Black Desert Online, and occasionally Star Wars: The Old Republic, and that's just the online games. There's other single player games out there that I'm playing as well, like Elden Ring, and yeah. Anyways, so the next article from MassivelyOP.com. Like I said, we got a lot from them. TrinityS is an early access 3-player co-op game that's all about beating raid bosses. So let me go ahead and... Oof, sorry, that was a bit loud. So you can kind of see what it's about here on the video. Top-down isometric. Oh, that's... Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought that was it. It's wait, that's it? Power of the Trinity online action. Oh wait, I guess we have to play this game now with my co-host Sir Jaziel and Kennethan, because it has Trinity in the name, and our our MMORPG podcast's name. I mean, it looks interesting. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, admittedly, but it could be fun. Actually, should I just let that play? Yeah. It goes on to say, what if you're looking for the big raid boss fights in traditional MMORPGs and made that into a 3-player online co-op title? You might get something like TrinityS, a new multiplayer game from Japanese publisher developer indie. Oh wait, I don't know how to read it. Okay, let me start that over. If you might get something like that, or like TrinityS, a new multiplayer game from Japanese publisher slash developer indie US games that lets players skip the MMO level grind and face off against fearsome foes that require precise coordination to defeat. I totally butchered how to say that sentence, but anyways. Oh man. See, the reason why I like making videos, and I guess one of the reasons why I stopped streaming is because when you screw up, you can just edit it out, but I can't do that here. Anyways, in TrinityS, up to 3 players can select from one of 3 characters who represent a role in an MMO party's Holy Trinity, each with customizable skills to let players tune their chosen character to their playstyle. Positioning and movement are noted as key elements in surviving these fights, which basically boils down to all of the dance steps that MMO raiders are used to in order to avoid the fire. For those who would like, or for those who rather play solo, TrinityS will fill out unselected roles with AI bots. That's actually a really interesting concept, though. I can't knock it, but still not really necessarily my cup of tea, truth be told. But definitely a game to look out for. New World's May update, now on PTR, addresses PvP and combat tuning. I actually did notice I downloaded a new update for the New World yesterday. It was like 6 gigabytes, I think. But anyways, with just a few days to go in April, you had to know Amazon was getting ready to reveal the bulk of its May update for the New World. And this afternoon, it's done just that, as the May patch just landed on the PTR. PvPers will notice right away that the heart of the update is for you, as the New World adds 3v3 arenas for level 20 plus characters, as well as 2 new currencies for the PvP rewards track from all PvP content, XP, and Azoth Salt. All players will benefit from a round of combat tuning as well. And Quotes says, in this PTR cycle, we'll be trying out a handful of combat changes in the new different areas, Amazon says. We're updating equipped load bonuses to bring heavy armored healers in front line with other builds, adding small delay to stamina regen after a dodge, and finally making some sweeping changes to bow movement and firing options, with the aim of smoothing out the gameplay experience. I feel like that's some of the stuff they actually did address when it came to the way characters moved, I believe in an update a few months ago. Whereas like if you dodged, like your character kind of stood still for like half a second, and that drove people mad. Lastly, it says players will also be testing 3 munition types. Oh, that's really cool. Types in the Expedition Mutator pool, as well as the entry to the depths into the weekly rotation and the Vagarian Knights plotline for mid-gamers. That's really cool. You can actually swap out the types of ammo. I actually do have a ton of ammo in my inventory. Yeah. Oh, goodness. In the last new video or New World video that I made, I did say that I started playing again. But then after that, even though I haven't uninstalled it, I haven't touched it since, admittedly. Again, another game I really wish I had stuck with, but Black Desert PC improves pet looting and updates various aspects of the Elvia Realm monster zones. And if you don't know what Elvia Realms are, it's sort of the end game areas of the map that's technically in the lower level regions, typically associated with lower regions of the game, but they repurposed it for endgame players. So you're gonna need like a gear score level of at least 500, 600 to be able to efficiently grind in these areas, which I haven't yet, despite the fact that Elvia Realms are kind of older content. Anyways, I'm blabbing. It does go on to say that most of the focus for this week's update to Black Desert on PC are the improvement and refinement side of things, namely pet looting, the spirit weapons in the Elvia Realm, Monster Zone, and the usual class balancing and series of events. One thing that I really do appreciate about the Black Desert Online game is that they release... They're constantly fine-tuning their game. Every week, it seems to be a new update over and over and over again. Small events, big events here and there. And it's just like, the game is just constantly changing. And that's great for an MMO. Keeps things interesting. Is probably one of the reasons why the game is, or has lasted as long as it has, still going off strong. But also at the same time, I get that it might be a little daunting for new players because you have no idea what's going on. Because things are changing every week with new events and, you know. But overall, still a really fun game. Matter of fact, I'm AFK fishing right now, but anyways, moving on. First off, pet looting has been changed so that pets will prioritize looting goodies over moving alongside their owner. Wait, did I read that right? First off, pet looting has been changed so that pets will prioritize looting goodies over moving along their owner, and any special pets' abilities like finding rare monsters or resources will not be interrupted by players' pets turning into a loot gremlin. I didn't even know that was even a problem in the first place. I just set the pets to collect really fast. Just go along. Just kind of goes to show how much actual grinding that I do in the game, which is hardly not much. One of the arguably largest portions of this patch involves tweaks to the Elvia Realm monster zones. Spirit weapon spawn rates have been increased and will prioritize being bound to characters or party members. Spirit weapons now have a 10-minute long cooldown in between uses. AP levels for these realms have been changed, and the maximum number of lootable enhancement materials has been increased as well. Other points of note in this update are various changes to the Tamer class, new prime skills for the Dracania, new weekly quests that lets players obtain materials required to craft Odor's spirit essence. I actually have no idea what that is. A couple of events involving world bosses. Oh yeah, there's a world boss event going on right now. I actually do remember that, but I haven't defeated any of the world bosses. So yeah, a lot of good stuff for Black Desert. One of those MMOs that I keep coming back to over and over again for sure. All right, moving on to MMORPG.com. We got a few articles from them here. First one is none other than the Lost Ark. And just really quick, this is something that might affect a few of you. Not a whole lot, I would assume. But it says that the Lost Ark gets GeForce Now support and possible shorter roadmaps on the way. I actually know... I don't know anyone who uses GeForce Now. Although I could see why people would use it. I do think that cloud gaming is going to be the future eventually, but because speeds are just so slow, it just doesn't seem very practical to me right now. Or at least here in the United States. Maybe not so much in South Korea. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Lost Ark is the latest game to be available on NVIDIA's GeForce Now service. If you're looking to play on the go or want to play on a variety of devices, now you'll be able to play Lost Ark via the sound or cloud-based games service. It also mentions shorter roadmaps, I guess, but the only thing that's really substantial or that's been substantiated is the next class coming out called the Berserker, I believe. The hammer-wielding class. Berserker. What was the other one? The Destroyer. Or which one's the one that came out at launch? That was the Destroyer, right? Or was it the Berserker? Well, maybe if I read. Oh, it's the Destroyer. Okay, I'm sorry. The Destroyer is the one coming out in May. The Berserker is the one already out. Wow. So I made the Gun Lancer. I made the Gun Lancer. That's my main. I didn't make the other one. Upcoming Elite Dangerous stream, we'll discuss 2022 roadmap and console account transfers. That's really interesting to me. Because I know the console version of this game has been seeing a lot of problems. Apparently the game is just too much for consoles to handle. But I don't really follow this game too closely. I just know of it because a lot of my friends on Twitch actually play. But anyways, moving on, it says, when it comes to Elite Dangerous, to call it this past year one of the changing... Wait, hang on. Let me redo that. When it comes to Elite Dangerous, to call this past year one of change would be an understatement. After last year's release of Elite Dangerous Odyssey was not well received, Frontier spent much time on fixes before deciding this year to cease development on consoles and go PC only. Oh, that I didn't know. So hence the PC transfers, or console to PC transfers. So they're doing this to focus on one code base to upgrade and work on. This week there has been a community event and an announcement that the next Frameshift live stream has been postponed to next week. One of the topics listed for that stream is related to the Switch console account transfers. That's too bad. That really is. I mean, as far as I can tell, the studio isn't like a AAA studio or anything like that. And you know, to give them the benefit of the doubt, I'm pretty sure they did all they could, but I guess they wouldn't be doing this unless, you know, there wasn't any other way. So if you play Elite Dangerous on the consoles and you don't have a PC, I mean, that really does suck, but man. While we do have to wait until the rescheduled stream on May 4th at, 1600 BST. Or in other words, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, the topic of console account transfers is an important offering. Has the potential to bring over a number of players who would have otherwise simply been left behind by the Switch. Some players reacted to the announcement, noting that they already had decided to start over on PC, but this could be an open door that helps the community grow a bit more now that it's a single platform. The next Frameshift Live had a slightly bumpy road before the rescheduled date was announced. Originally, a post was made on the game's social media accounts with the news that the stream was not happening this week, and they've updated when they'd resume, leaving things a bit up in the air. This seemed to surprise some players that have been hopeful about the state of the game and where things are going. Oh man, so a lot of road bumps, it seems like. What? Not to fret, as the live stream is scheduled for, again, on May 4th. That's Star Wars Day, right? Yeah, May the 4th be with you. Sorry, my logo's in the way there, but it does say Final Fantasy XVI is in the final stages of development, producer claims. Final Fantasy XVI's producer reveals that the game is on its final stages of development, but that doesn't mean it's coming out in 2022. Final Fantasy XVI, the next mainline entry in Square Enix's beloved JRPG series, was announced over 1.5 years ago during PlayStation's September 2022 showcase event. Since then, developer Square Enix has not shown the game in any form. Actually, now that I think about it, that's actually true. And I can't even believe it's been 1.5 years already. Crap, time flies. And they openly admit that it is giving the game development team the space it needs to develop the game for as long as it needs. After confirming last year that more footage will be shown in spring of 2022, Final Fantasy XVI producer Yoshida has now claimed in a comment to fashion retailer Uniqlo, man, these names, I tell you, Uniqlo, that the game is in its final stages of development. Final Fantasy 16 was first announced during. We already read that. And it will be a console exclusive for the PlayStation 5 at launch. Boo! I totally forgot about that. I'm hoping you'll be eventually released to the PC, much like the Final Fantasy VII Remake has eventually. I mean, it did make it over. Final Fantasy 15 also, I believe, was a console exclusive, and it finally made it over to the PC eventually as well. So us PC players might have to just wait just a little bit longer. But that's assuming, it follows the trend of previous Final Fantasy games. There's no guarantee it will come over to the PC, I should probably say, but I think it's a safe assumption. But yeah, I think the rest of the article just more or less just kind of covers what it's about, what we kind of already know about it. But anyways, and these next two ones is something that I covered on my other YouTube channel on Coffee and RPGs, but I'll cover it here anyways, just because I think they're something that is pretty substantial, a really big deal. And I'll just go ahead and use the original article that I used in the other video. Report: Skull and Bones could be out as early as fall 2022. New leaked footage shows combat and a social hub. Now, I do have other sources as well, including Destructoid. They covered this as well as Game Rant. And the biggest source being Kotaku, as they actually, I think, communicated with Ubisoft directly, as you can see here in this little blurb, I guess you could say. Anyways, going back here. But yeah, there was... well, instead of reading, I'll just go ahead and explain everything, just since I already know what's going on. There was a leak, a footage leak of Skull and Bones that showcased the main hub, which is called St. Anne. It even showed things like being able to see other players. Well, actually, I'll just read this. It seemed this footage centered around a gameplay social hub called St. Anne, which sees players able to sell and craft items, get quests, and form parties of pirates to take on the high seas. From there, players will be able to board their ship and take on others, as well as make attacks on forts, NPCs, and other player ships, and even world events such as merchant fleets. I'm obviously not going to be showing any of the footage. I'm pretty sure you can still find one floating around if you do a quick Google search, but because the game is still under NDA, I don't want to get any strikes on this channel, and plus I don't think it's ethical to be showing anything that's considered something that you shouldn't be showing anyways because of that contractual agreement. But yeah, the rumors also suggest that Skull and Bones might be coming out by the end of this year as well, which is pretty exciting, and I hope that's the case, but I'd still rather have them delay the game for the 100th time again if the game isn't ready. Just because you guys know that if you've been following this game somewhat, even casually, you guys know that the game has been delayed like half a dozen times already. And I explained in that video the reason why I think that was the case is because long story short, Ubisoft was cranking out open world sandbox games like none other, and they've been applying that same open world sandbox formula to all their games. When it came to Assassin's Creed, the Tom Clancy games, and all of those sorts, and it just became stale. It just became boring. Yes, open world sandbox games are tremendously fun to play, but after a while, if you apply the same formula to all your games, regardless of the IP, it just becomes stale. And I think that's what Skull and Bones were suffering. It's like, hey, let's apply that formula, but let's just change everything up to pirates and ships. And I think the game was just way too boring, and the devs knew that. But I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Why the game kept on being delayed numerous times, but that's pretty much why I think it kept staying in development hell for all these years. Oh yeah, we also do have this little... Oof. Sorry, I hope that wasn't loud. But basically a little short video of a ship just sailing on the seas. Again, the game looks beautiful. You can criticize the game all you want, but the one thing that I know a lot of us would agree on is the game just absolutely looks beautiful. And I'm really looking forward to that. One of the reasons why I couldn't really play Sea of Thieves is because even though, don't get me wrong, the game does look beautiful, it still has that cartoony look and feel, which I'm not a huge fan of. But don't get me wrong, the water animations, the ocean, and seeing the clouds in the background, I mean, those parts of the game looks absolutely stunning. But overall, you know, it still has that cartoony look and feel, which I can't really get into. Even though I cited MMORPG.com, I should have cited Kotaku, but really quick, I don't like Kotaku. I won't get into why, but I'm pretty sure you could assume why I don't like Kotaku. But they do have some pretty interesting articles, like this one, for example. But generally, I really don't like using them as a source. And the last one we got today, going back to MassivelyOP.com, rumor, leakers claim that Elder Scrolls Online, sorry, let me start that over. Oh, I'm getting tired. It's been over an hour now, but anyways, all right. So last article of today's video, going back to MassivelyOP.com, leakers claim that Elder Scrolls Online's ZeniMax Online Studios is working on a Star Wars Mandalorian MMO. And again, I won't make a habit of covering rumors all the time, because, you know, pretty much anyone could just make up stories, I guess, and say, oh, it's true, you know, and turns out to be false, because the internet is full of those, right? But in case this rumor is true, it has the potential of just being very exciting for a lot of people. Everyone from Star Wars fans to the Mandalorian fans to RPG fans to MMO fans, you know, and everybody else in between those. So I'm obviously hoping that this is true because I'm a huge MMO fan. But anyways, goes on to say, well, is ZeniMax Online Studios making this game? Well, that's what the rumor mill is claiming. And this comes from comicbookgaming.com or comicbook.com in their hang on. No, it's just comicbook.com in their gaming section. I'm sorry. So comicbook.com/gaming, which has collected supposed leaks. One of them, who was an Xbox leaker a year ago, and a second source this week whose claims were signed on by the first leaker. So they're kind of reinforcing, I guess, each other's claims. And apparently this Xbox leaker is a well-known leaker, apparently. From what I can tell from the comic book article, claiming that ZOS is building a Mandalorian branded MMO set in the Star Wars universe. That's it. That's the rumor. So we got no screenshots. We got no video. We got absolutely nothing other than someone claiming that this is the case. And like I said in the other video in Coffee and RPGs, if you don't get anything, or if you get anything at all from this particular segment of the video, just know that ZeniMax Online Studios is creating a brand new MMO set in a quote, exciting new IP. So could it still be a Mandalorian related MMO? It could be. We just have to define the word new. Is it a brand new IP no one's ever seen before? Is it new to ZeniMax Online Studios? But anyways, I'll just leave it at that. Again, I don't want to drag this on as a considering we don't have a whole lot of information. So yeah, just go ahead and